Hello everyone, welcome to my new video, and in today's video we are going to explore a fundamental data structure in Python that is list. So list in Python is essentially a collection of items. It is a versatile tool that can hold any type of object, indices, strings, and even other lists. So creating a list is simple in Python. So we just need to enclose our items in square brackets, which are also known as list brackets, and each item in the list are separated by comma. And let's illustrate this with an example. Suppose we want to create a list of vegetables. Here's how to do it. First, I will use a variable called list of vegetables, and I'll give square brackets, and inside the square brackets we will specify the list of items, or the items that we want inside the list. So in our case it's a list of vegetables, so we'll specify some vegetables. So it will be tomato, potato, and cabbage. And as you can see, our list contains 3 items: tomato, potato, and cabbage. And now let's print our list to the console using the print function. So here what we can do, print, and we will specify our variable. That is list of vegetables. Okay, now let's run the file. And there you have it. The console outputs our list of vegetables. That's how you create and use list in Python. So that was the basic information on how to create list in Python. Now we'll move on to indexing. Okay, now let's delve into the concept of indexing. So indexing in Python is a way of assigning a unique identifier, or the index, to each item in our list, and this allows us to access and manipulate individual items in the list. So in Python, indexing starts from 0, not from the 1. And this means the first item in the list is at index 0, and second item in the list is at index 1, and so on. So for instance, in our list of vegetables, tomato is at index 0, and potato is at index 1, and cabbage is as index 2. So to access an item in the list, we use the list name followed by the index of the item inside the square brackets. For example, if we want to print the first item from the list, here's what we can do. We'll use the print function, and we'll specify our variable, which is holding the list, and then we'll give square brackets, and inside the square brackets we'll specify an index. So the first item in our list is tomato, and it is at index 0, so we'll write 0. Now let's run our file. Now here you can see it has printed the first item from our list, and similarly if we want to print the other item in the list, that is potato and cabbage, we can do the same thing, but instead we'll just change the index. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll just copy and paste it. I'll change the index. So potato is at index 1 and cabbage is as index 2. And now let's run the file, and there we have it. So the program has printed the items we specified from our list, and that's how we can use indexing to access a specific item in a Python list. So now let's dive into the concept of negative indexing. So negative indexing is a way to access items in a list from the end rather than from the beginning. So the last item in the list has an index of -1, and the second last has the index of -2, and so on. And the logic behind negative indexing is quite intuitive, and negative index is essentially the position of the item when counting from the end of the list. So to understand this, I've created a list of Avengers, and we will be applying the concept of negative index in our list. So our list has total 5 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we use the negative index of -1, we are asking Python to give us the item that is at position 1 from the end of the list. So in other words, we subtract the absolute value of the negative index from the total number of items in the list. So we have 5 total items, so 5 minus 1 is 4. So counting from 0, the item at position 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is Black Widow. So let's try this practically. We'll print the list of Avengers with the negative index 1. So now let's run the file. So it has printed Black Widow. So from this we can know that whenever we give -1 as the index to the list, it always prints the last item from the list, no matter how long is the list. So now, similarly, if we use a negative index of -2, we are asking Python to give us the item that is at 2 position from the end. So 5 minus 2 will be 3. So counting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. At position 3 in our list is store. So let's try this. I'll give the negative index 2. So now let's run the file. And you can see it has printed Tor, the second last item in our list. So that's how we can use negative indexing to access specific items in a Python list. So now let's move on to another important concept, that is checking if an item is inside the list using the if statement. So the if statement in Python allows us to perform a specific action if a certain condition is met. So in the context of a list, we use often if to check if a particular item is present in the list or not. So now let's use our Avengers list as an example, and let's see if Iron Man is in our list or not. So we can do this using the if statement. So here's what we can do. If Iron Man in our list, so our list is list of Avengers, then we'll put colon and we'll print Iron Man is in the list. So when we run this code, the Python checks if the Iron Man is in our list or not, and prints Iron Man is in the list if it is in the list, or else it will not print anything. So now let's run the file. So as expected, Python has confirmed that Iron Man is in our list indeed, and similarly we can check for any other item in the list. For example, let's check if Black Panther is in our list or not. So here what we can do. So if Black Panther, and in the list of Avengers will print Black Panther is in the list, and we'll use else condition, print Black Panther is not in the list. So now let's run the file. So in this case, since the Black Panther is not in our list, the Python has printed Black Panther is not in the list. So that's how we can use if statement to check if the item is presented inside the list or not. So that's how we can use if statement to check if for items in the Python list. So now let's explore another fundamental concept in Python, iterating over a list using a for loop. So for loop allows us to perform an action for its items in a list, and this is often referred to as iterating over the list. Let's use our Avenger list as an example. Suppose we want to print its Avenger's name. We can do this using a for loop. So here's what we can do. For Avenger in list of Avengers, print Avenger. So Avenger in here is a variable that will iterate over each item inside the list and print out its Avenger. So when we run this code, Python starts at the beginning of the list and prints each Avenger's name one at a time until it reaches at the end of the line. So now let's run the file. So as you can see, the Python has printed each Avenger's name one by one, and that's how we can use for loop to iterate over a Python list. So now let's dive into another important concept in Python, slicing a list. So slicing allows us to access the subset of a list by specifying a range of indices. So the syntax for slicing a list is list, then starting index, then stopping index, where start is the index at which the slice starts and stop is the index at which the slice ends. And the start index is included in the slice, but the stop index is not. So now let's use our Avenger list as an example. So suppose we want to get a slice of the list that includes Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk. So here's what we can do. Print list of Avengers. Then we'll use square brackets, and it will start at 0 and end at 3. So when we run this code, Python will print the first 3 Avengers in our list. So now let's run the file. Python. So here you can see it has printed 3 items: Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk. It has started at index 0 and stopped at index 3. That's why we can see Tor and the sliced list. Now what if we want to get a slice of the list that includes all the Avengers except the last one? So we can do this using the negative indexing in our slice. So here's what we can do. Print list of Avengers, and we will give index of 0 starting index and ending index -1, or we can just give -1. So by default, if we don't give any value for the starting index, it will be 0. So now let's run the file. So as you can see, it has printed Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor, all Avengers in our list except the last one, that is Black Widow. So that's how we can use slicing to access specific portion of a Python list. So that wraps up today's video on Python list, and in this video we covered the basics of creating list, indexing to access items, negative indexing, checking if an item is in a list using if statement, and iterating over a list using for loops, and slicing list. And in the next part I will discuss more advanced list concepts like jump indexing, list comprehensions, and important list methods such as append, remove, and sort. And I aim to upload that video sooner than this one. So thank you all for watching, and if you find this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to be notified whenever I upload a new video, don't forget to hit the bell icon, and I'll see you guys in my next video.